Jason, y'all. Randy? Okay, good evening. Welcome to the pre-council meeting for our October 5th, 2021 meeting. Hopefully tonight will go pretty good and smooth, and we can address the needs of our city and our community and have a good, productive meeting. So welcome. Thank all of you for coming in and kind of spreading out a little bit. Do all of you have a copy of tonight's agenda? I'm assuming that's a yes. We'll call to order. Invocation. We've had a couple of guests do that recently. Is there anyone that would like to give the invocation tonight?
I'll do it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Little. We'll have a roll call, and it appears that all are here, including our department heads. Okay, do we all have the same agenda tonight? Should be 11 items, and number 9 has A through I, with the last one, consideration of payout of comp time being the final thing on the items for discussion. And then resolution ordinances, we have 2021-1001 and -02. And number 11 is the adjournment. Is that the agenda we're going with?
I was hoping that we were going to talk about the American Rescue Plan funds and how we can use that money for the incentive pay?
Well, you can call it that, but it's premium pay.
Premium pay. I was hoping that we could talk about that down at the items of discussion or consideration, just to keep moving forward with the discussion. I have some additional information.
There's a request for an add-on on the agenda tonight. What's the pleasure of the council on the request from Councilmember Reese?
Did everybody get this? Everybody's got that?
Yes, sir.
Have you looked through that yet? Or,
Well, that's what she sent me the other day, and I had it on my phone, so I did look, not through the entire packet. No.
That's a lot.
yeah, I think, did I just get this today? I think I did. Anyway, I
The
mean,
only
I
person that's had it previously was the mayor, myself, and Jay.
I know I haven't looked through it yet, but I mean, there's a lot of information in here, it looks like, uses and not uses. But if you've got something to add or want to add, I'm okay with it.
I just thought we could further the discussion
The premium
today,
pay, I
so.
believe, is under section 5.
I was just saying, I mean, I just got it today, but that's,
Sure, sure. Well, I've been looking at some things for a good bit, several weeks now, and I have some, like the resolution from Saraland, and wanted to kind of add some of the things that Heather and I had talked about, and see if we can't maybe adopt something similar to what they have. And I was just going to introduce that to you guys.
So you're gonna make a motion to amend the agenda?
Um,
So you have to do a roll call vote.
Right, if we're going to do that, I don't know if, the understanding, I think we're all trying to determine exactly how we can spend money legally and what do we want to do. We can do that. I'm not going to say we can't discuss it tonight if y'all want, if that's the wishes of the council.
I guess I would like to know how everybody else is working towards getting people, employees. Like, are you guys working on this? Like, I'm working on this. I don't know if y'all are reading or how y'all are moving forward with getting the incentive pay. Because if we keep saying every week, well, we need to figure it out. Well, if no one's working on figuring it out, it's not going to just do it by itself. So I thought today we could talk a little bit more about it.
Well, a couple of the council members have mentioned it to me, and I was going to ask tonight, before we conclude, what y'all thought about having a workshop and just addressing just this so we can finalize it and go ahead and put it to rest. I would like to do that, maybe at the next meeting instead of tying up time every meeting.
Sure.
It's whatever, you know.
Is somebody going to be working on preparing the documents, though? I mean, that's my question, because if we have a meeting and then go home and nobody does anything, there's not going to be anything at a workshop when it comes time to present. Do you have somebody assigned, like a task force that's going to work on?
No, ma'am, we don't have no task force
Okay,
up here. I sure
so-
wish we could.
I just bring it up because if no one's doing it,
I
then
guess
we
my
won't
task
have
force-
anything.
Heather and Trish, I guess, and maybe Edith. Y'all gonna wear some camouflage stuff like the police or something and come in as a task force? I mean, it is an important issue, and I'm not making fun, but I mean, it is a lot of money, and I would like for us to spend the money wisely and all agree, so we can do that. I mean, I think it's gonna probably be, you know, something we need to discuss at length, but we can put something together so we can do it. If the council wishes to do it, I mean, it's on the floor right now. So whatever the rest of them say or want to do,
How about next week?
but that's fine with me.
You don't want to talk about it today?
Huh?
You don't want to talk about it today? Okay.
I just had to read all this stuff, that's why I was asking.
I mean, are y'all really going to read it?
I've been trying to read. I didn't get it, but, you know, an hour ago, but I'm trying to read through it and see exactly what we can and can't do. Maybe you can read through it and give us a short list.
Well, I did. That's what Heather sent me the other day. It was in an email.
I
Didn't we
got
all
ain't a
get the
short
email?
list.
Wasn't it an email?
It's that right there.
Yeah, but this was an email form and now it's just printed.
Oh, no.
No.
You had requested, so
Okay.
the mayor had it, and Jay and myself, and then I sent it to you, and you requested it in the council.
Maybe you can send it to everybody.
It's that.
Huh? It's same, I thought
You
it was.
would prefer a printed copy.
Yeah, okay.
'Cause it's like about that big.
In the email, it is super tiny. But I also asked Kara, maybe, because Kara's done quite a bit with that, if maybe when y'all discuss it, if she could be present to answer any questions, because she knows a lot of what it can be used for, that she's done with other cities as well. So whenever we decide, she said she'd be glad to come and, let us know if any questions, answer some, but.
Well, like the
league sent us and, the attorneys from the league have said, that's it.
Sure. So at the last meeting, though, I mentioned that if we gave everybody $5,000, that's not even half of the first payment, and we still have a second payment coming, which would leave us with about $800,000 if that's in that about what we're getting, like 535. Is that what it is?
You get the same amount 2 times.
But what did we
So
get?
it's 724, it's 1.4 million divided by 2.
Yes. I mean that's like hardly touching it, and I think we would still
We've
have.
asked for a list too. How many full-time, how many part-time, how many volunteers? We ain't got that list yet either.
Well, we don't have that list because I don't know what dates y'all want to choose from. So the pandemic actually was declared March of 2020. Do you want to go, some cities have gone back that far and said the employees had to be working at that time and still currently working, because you have some employees who are being paid with one municipality and then they went to work for
It
another,
definitely has
and
to
they
be
got 2
employed.
bosses.
Yeah.
So a lot of cities are putting that in there, that you must currently still be working.
I just thought the verbiage that Sarah Land had sounded really good.
Well, I mean, that's what I'd like to see, like Mr. Little last meeting was, for a list of all that, and, I thought we was gonna have that one.
Well, I brought it, and that's why I wanted to talk a little bit more about the subject,
But I don't care
to
if
see
you
how
bring
we
it up.
could, adopt it to what would best suit our city.
I think like the mayor said, in a work session, you really can decide what days you want to go, do you want to go to March, or do you want to do, like Sarah Land is September to September, September 20 to September 21, with them currently working, I believe.
And you was talking, you've done some work or doing some work. Have you got those answers? Is that stuff you've been working on, or?
I double spaced it so we could work on it together and make notes of how it would be like tailored to our city. And I thought what they had sounded pretty good, and I talked to Heather about like having like tiers or levels for, you know, because there are people that don't work, but they're on the payroll, is my understanding. Not many. But we would put like tier 1, you have to work at least 10 hours per week within the time period. And then you would get, I'm just throwing a number out there, $1,500. And then if you worked, say, 20 hours a week during the time period, then, you know, maybe $2,500.
Yeah, I think we
And
need to
then-
do a workshop. We can sit down, because this is gonna take more than 30 minutes tonight.
Well, I just wanted to bring this, what we're doing right now is basically what I wanted to do at the end. So,
If you want tonight, just to tell me what dates you want to kind of go by, we can get those figures and then y'all can play with it then. But I can't really give you accurate numbers until I know
sure.
what days.
And-
I think that's what
And then those that would be considered full-time, which is 40 hours a week or more during the time period, they would be entitled to the full amount of whatever it was we decided, whether it was 5,000, 7,000. We could even do better than other cities. It didn't say we had to stop at 5,000. So, but there again, that would just be up to,
And that way,
Yes.
learning that, then we can find out the exact total what we'll be giving out
yes,
by the,
yes.
And it will also pay your FICA on that pay, and in the resolution, you have to add that we're going to pay the FICA as well as the bonus. Otherwise, you can't use the rescue funds to pay that FICA.
So I can make a copy of this if we want to distribute that for the workshop, and then we can mark it up and
Okay.
then, or distribute it now and then bring it back to the workshop. And then you'll have the other packet marked up and we can talk about that further.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Okay, then it's my understanding that tonight we will set a workshop for next Tuesday night. And what time would y'all like to make the workshop to discuss these items?
5:30?
5:30 next Tuesday night, which will be the 12th, to discuss.
You're gonna add that to the agenda, or are you just gonna bring that up and?
Next, the 12th.
Yes, that's what, next Tuesday. Is the 12th at 5:30 PM, so we got to post it for a workshop regarding the use of the American Rescue Funds Act.
Mayor, I'd also like to bring up tonight some questions about the shooting range. Does that need to be on the agenda? I've been getting some calls and some questions, and all I know to do is ask them, so.
Okay.
Did you say the shooting range? Okay.
There were things I couldn't answer, so like I say, do we need to put that on the agenda?
Okay, we'll amend the agenda on for discussion and/or consideration. We can make that J and K. J, the American Rescue Act. K, shooting range questions. Now,
Who's gonna make that motion?
I can.
who's going to second it? All right, Ms. Reese and Mr. Butler going to make and second the motion, and we'll have to do a roll call, right, to amend the agenda. Okay, moving on from the workshop session of the 16th. Did we not, we've got to, did we not sign these minutes?
Okay, so we didn't know that the last meeting.
Okay. All right, and then we have the minutes of our regular September 21st meeting. Did anybody,
I'll get all three of those.
I'll second them.
motion made by Mr. Skelton and Mr. Little will second those, so that takes care of A, B, and C. I don't have anything listed for recognitions tonight. Then we have visitors. I haven't got anybody on the list tonight.
I'm presenting.
Yes, I was going to ask, Tom, would you like to come up real quick before we move on and kind of let them know about the survey you've gotten and Steel Creek and the other projects that we've worked on?
Be our visitor.
Visitor. As you all know, we all got that Gomesa grant a year ago. We've received the money. I believe we have 2 years to spend it. We've been working with Goodwin Mills and Kaywood on the description of the scope of work, what's on the list, and what we asked for to begin with. Some of those items have been modified. We've contacted the Gomesa people, talked about a few things. So what I have here that y'all need to look at some point today, hopefully, is a map of the Steel Creek Lodge property. And it shows all the separate things that were included in the Gomesa grant. The pavilion, the piers, the playground, the parking areas, the boardwalk out to the water, replacing of the piers, fixing the boat ramp itself with more riprap, making it longer and wider, the parking lot paving, the lighting in the parking lot. I also showed on that drawing the Union Chapel and the parking area next to it, and also the potential of subdividing the north end into 12 additional lots that all meet all of our zoning. They're actually a little bigger. Most of them are 115, 120 by 250, and there's 4 lots or 6 lots that are 100 by, I think, 160 or 70 feet. So that's a potential moneymaker for the city, you know, if you could sell them for $25,000 to $40,000 a piece. But
You can't have a house on top of the disc golf course over there. That won't work.
there's nothing over on the disc golf course.
There will be. Another 9 holes. I thought we were doing that.
Well, it's either 9 holes or
Let's go ahead and
$300,000, you choose. Anyways, our next step is if everybody on the council agrees that this is what we're having Goodwin Mills and Kaywood do the scope of work on, then they'll go ahead and proceed with all their documents and send it out for bid. Several of the things we thought we could do ourselves to save a lot of money. We could have the playground put in, save $15,000 because it's more or less a phone call. We could get the lighting from Alabama Power. There's a few things I've talked to Goodwin Mills and Kaywood about doing the add alt on the bid. So when y'all get a chance, look at this. This is what's being submitted. It's what's been submitted for a year now. As far as changing anything, one thing that came up is whether or not they're going to put a kayak launch at the end of the boardwalk. That was originally talked about. There's been several people have asked, you're going to have to tote your canoe 250 feet down to the water. Is there a traffic issue down there? Originally on the application, they had the canoe launch right at the 2 boat ramps, and that was talked about just too dangerous, floating around in a canoe and here comes a big old boat.
We also discussed trying to do the repaving right in front of them launches. I know you're not gonna do the whole parking lot, but
Yeah, right now there's a
That's-
one-sentence description.
that's the most maintenance you have down there is that we're constantly filling them holes right there in front of them launches.
And we can probably have that as part of the scope of work is to resurface the existing asphalt paving around the boat
Right.
ramp itself. And then the thought is to add 4 inches of crushed limestone on the existing parking lot and then extend it north to where all the people have been running their trucks through there.
Right,
Hopefully
yeah.
prevent that.
Because on the print, it shows it asphalt, but like I say, you go down
Yes.
there, it's no asphalt left right there.
So like I said, whenever y'all want, as soon as we get this to Goodwin Mills and Kaywood, they can move forward on their scope of work and bidding it out. It's not something that's going to take a while. They did not provide us with a survey. We had this done. We had it bid out by a few different vendors. They were just gonna do some measurements and give us some square footage numbers on some of these items. But now we have a more accurate, plus, you know, everybody can see what's going on over there. Any questions?
We just gotta be started with the project within 2 years, was that the case?
I think we have to, I don't know if we have to start it within 2 years or finish it. I mean,
Well, if we gotta finish it, we're gonna have to act.
Right.
Quick.
I think the money has to be spent within 2 years.
Well, if it's got to be 2 years, I mean, we didn't actually get the money till like April this year, so,
This year.
so it's probably from April, yeah.
you know, it,
Yeah,
but I agree.
There's, two parts of the project that are extensive. That's just the reason Goodwood Mills and Kaywood is that's the boardwalk. That's a 500-foot elevated, 8-foot wide boardwalk, real similar to some of these piers and docks people have put on Vaughn Drive East that run all through the woods. They got to be approved by the Coast Guard and the Corps of Engineers. You know, there's some specifications back in there. So that'll take, you know, a couple months to get that going. And the other extensive work is the boardwalk itself that runs along the water is replacing all the wood. And that's going to just be a contractor. We also asked them about tearing down that existing screened-in porch pavilion area. You know, it's pretty just deplorable. Every time we go to rent it out, it's filthy, floors are uneven, the tables, it's got to be power washed and cleaned out. So the thought is to get an estimate on putting up a new one. You know, level floors, handicap accessible. Included in this is to bring Wi-Fi to the entire complex so that it can be used as a classroom environment, which the grant people were very excited about that. All along the walking trail back there would be little displays with information about the wildlife and that sort of thing. And that's what fulfills the Gomesa requirements.
Who will be in charge of doing that? Will they contract that out with some kind of like environmental science company or?
You know, the guy that came through here and put up the little, on the, across from the boat ramp, he put in all that riprap and turned it into a pond for fish to grow. He also put up some pieces about this big that had information from the wildlife people. He came down and saw this, and he wants to put all that stuff in for free. So along the entire boardwalk, we talked about, you know, there'd be pictures of plants and animals and that sort of thing.
When he says for free,
It'd be a grant, the state pays for it.
okay, can, we get it in writing or a contract or something?
Well, he told us to contact him, and we were ready to, so now we have something for him to look at, and we can decide, do we need 10 little, you know, pods running through the woods or not? So, you know, it's whatever we ask for. It's whatever we tell Goodwin Mills and Kaywood to put in the scope of work.
I don't know if we'll know what to ask for. Do you know what I mean? Like, do we have like some Delta experts? And I guess it would have been good to have whoever that lady was that came with.
Well, I mean, you could go down to Dolphin Island Sea Lab and look at all the stuff they have around there as you're walking along the boardwalk, and they have all those displays about wildlife. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Sure.
And there's bound to be somebody who specializes in putting that stuff up, but it was the Wildlife Federation, because they're the ones who put the boat ramp in to begin with and paid for all that.
You want the kayak launch over here on this corner is where it's proposed?
You know, I personally don't know that we need it, but that's not my decision to make,
I think we need it.
because it's kind of far out there. Like I said, are people going to use it if they got a tow canoe 250 feet to the water from the
People that are
parking
going to be
lot?
doing a kayak, they're not going to mind that.
Well, I mean, that's, like I said, if y'all want to do it, we could show it there. To give you an idea, that kayak launch we put up in Vaughn's, that was like a $5,000 piece of equipment. So that's just something we ordered. The only installation was 2 6-inch poles in the ground, and it just floats on there. So we can put it anywhere.
We just need to make sure if you're talking about, I don't know what the height of that pier is, to make sure that there's.
3
I
or
guess
4
either-
feet off the ground, I would think, something like that.
Okay, I wasn't sure how high.
I know
yet.
that the Corps of Engineers doesn't allow you to cut anything below 3 feet, I believe, something like that. So we'd be higher than that.
If we need to add this to the agenda for next Tuesday night, we can go further. If you want to get with Goodwin Mills and Kaywood, see when they could come out and, give us an update. But if we don't move on, we're going to be into our council meeting
That's fine.
tonight.
Yeah, because we'll need probably a motion to send this to Goodwin Mills and Kaywood for the next step.
Okay. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, going into the mayor's report tonight, I have a very, not a big agenda at all to come. I did want to mention a few things. Jay and I have met with an auditing firm, and we will be proceeding to get that started. There was a meeting for the personnel board today that was rescheduled. I had told y'all we had that coming up. They have not set the date as of yet to when it would be rescheduled to, but some of the members could not attend today. We've continued to see a lot of sickness and all from the COVID in our community. I know that we've lost a couple of citizens since our last meeting, so just try to keep those families, in your thoughts and all if you happen to see any of those out. The cleaning up of the properties, we had some people come up here at the last meeting to discuss a specific property. I think Tom met with the gentleman that owned the property. There has been some cleaning up. He has worked on it. We've also had some cleaning of some of the other properties around town that we have been working with the property owners on. So hopefully you'll see that. Tom is here. I think there's actually one that we're taking action against now. Is that?
The bulldozers are working over on 6th Street already.
So I just wanted y'all to be aware of that. Moving on to public services, Mr. Little.
Mayor, I had a note to, mention that, but y'all taking care of that, on 6th Street. And I did want to mention to everybody that our trash trucks is down at the moment. Just be patient with us. One of them should be back up, we hope, by Thursday or Friday. Just waiting on parts. I think that's about it, really.
Okay. Moving on to public safety, Mr. Butler.
Yeah, I only got one thing, and that's for the fire department, the reports. We got, 68 MSC's calls. We got fire calls at 28, for the total is 96 calls. But, you gotta remember too, for the last days, we have not reviewed, so they don't show on the report. The total number of calls are really 110 calls.
Right.
But we just haven't reviewed them yet.
Last 2 days have been reviewed.
Right.
So they just don't show up on the call list.
Okay.
There's 14 calls that we haven't reviewed yet.
Right.
But, when we do that, they'll be making sure that we're good. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Butler. Moving on to administration, Mr. Skelton.
Did you get a price on your auditor on the contract?
They have not firmed the price up. They wanted to know the add-ons and all, but it's going to be very close to what we paid last year.
Okay.
So we did review that with them,
All right,
both here and at the water board.
okay.
Total.
I was just
That's
trying
being
to
very close to the ballpark.
get an idea of what to plug in on the budget.
I told them you would probably ask that very question. I needed a pretty close answer, and before they give exact, they wanted to speak with both here at the city hall and at the water board.
Okay,
But we're real close.
all right.
Yes,
There's
sir.
one more thing.
Yes, sir.
I forgot, we got, mutual calls, we got 9 of those. And I forgot about that.
Okay, I think you're referring to mutual aid calls there, Mr. Butler. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Mr. Skelton, was
I'm good.
anything else? Okay, thank you. Appreciate the work on the budget you did there, too. Ms. Reese?
Oh, yes, sir. There's a library event next Tuesday, October 12th at 11 a.m. It's local author Paula Webb, and she will be at the library. So if you are interested in attending, please go check that out. I wanted to mention that I guess there's a electrical business, Scopos, but now their lot is up for sale. I was wondering if you guys knew what happened. And I don't know, it's across from the car wash, next to Sap's Frame Shop. So I didn't know, we actually never, that I'm aware of, did a ribbon cutting or anything. I don't know if anybody ever made contact with them, which made me also think about Chalkboard Kitchen. Did we ever do any grand opening for them? Do we want to look into that?
We had asked them when they first came, and they wanted to put it off for a little while.
Yeah, I didn't know if
And-
anybody had heard or we need to reach back out or anything like that.
After it had been open a few weeks, I went and asked them if they, told them that we were all still interested. And
Okay.
they told me they would contact me, but I never have
Okay,
heard
sure.
from them. So, but yes, if you'd call, if they'd like to, that was good.
Okay. And that's all I have. I was going to bring up the requests for the pet parade to Crystal. I talked to her earlier and told her last year we ordered one accessible portalette and one hand wash station for the event that was in Baldwin Square. I'd like to request that again. And then also some additional trash cans in the area. And you can just put them in one spot. And then we can just move them around wherever we need. And then 3 folding tables. We're going to do a few new things this year. So we'll have some puppuccinos. So bring your pet out for that. And we'll also have an opportunity for you to choose the type of feature that you would like to see at the dog park. So we'll have a way for people to kind of vote for their favorite. And looking forward to doing that. We have secured the Azalea Trail Maids, so we'll have them in attendance. They were there last year and they helped give out some of the awards. So we're looking forward to that again. That's all I have for now.
Thank you, Ms. Reese. Moving on, Mr. Phillips.
Mayor, I just review what we have at the regular meeting. We just have our day-to-day operations to go over.
Okay. Okay. All right, we're going into number 9, items for discussion and consideration. Number A is payment of the bills.
Got that one.
I'll second it.
Mr. Skelton, Mr. Phillips, second. Consideration for declaring 2005 Chevy Impala surplus and authorizing disposal on govdeals.com. It's got the VIN listed. Mr.
Make a
Butler.
motion.
I can second that.
Ms. Reese. C, consideration for promotion of Travis Jones to Public Safety Worker 2 to be effective on October 23rd, 2021.
I'll put that in the motion, Mayor.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mr. Phillips, seconded by Mr. Little for that promotion. D, consideration of promotion of Robert Moore to corporal to be effective October 23rd, 2021.
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mr. Butler, seconded by Mr. Phillips on that promotion. E, discussion of splash pad operation dates. This come up at the workshop the other night, and I just felt like we need to publicly put it out that we're going to close the splash pad before doing it. Just, if there was no ordinance or anything, I think it had just kind of been an agreement. So if y'all want to set dates to open it and close it, I don't know.
Splash pad for the last 2 years.
Okay, has it? It's posted there? What are we gonna do about the rental? We had a question on that about in a few weeks.
Nothing was supposed, is written on there, so I think they still rented it for birthday parties.
I think that was, actually this past weekend, so we didn't want to close it down, because I think they said the second, that was the one of interest. But, you know, fall break is actually coming up, so I'd hate for it to be closed, you know, and the kids try to go to the park for fall break. I don't know, you know, if they have to stay around in town, then it might be a good place to go. So I can at least, you know, if you guys don't mind, I can post it on Facebook, through the splash pad, and at least let people know if, you know, they want one more hurrah.
So when are we saying to close now?
The
With,
way it reads now is April 5th through September 30th. That's what's posted out there, the same as the splash pad rules.
I feel like we had voted on it, if I remember correctly, like we just made sure that with the weather. I don't know, I mean, it's not my decision, it's up to you guys, but I can at least post something.
When is the school fall break? When is that? What days?
It starts Thursday, so tomorrow's their last day for the first quarter, and they'll resume classes on Tuesday. So if we want to say Tuesday, the 12th is the closing day.
Let's do that then.
Okay,
Close the 12th, and then we'll move on. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Moving on the F, consideration of the 2021 and 22 holiday schedule to include a new federal holiday of Juneteenth.
I can put that in a motion.
Oh, I can say, oh, you got it? Go ahead.
Motion made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Butler.
Are we going to discuss that some before vote?
Yeah, we can discuss it prior to that. I mean, we're only in the workshop, so that's, you know, if we would need to go in. All right, Mr. Yeah, I thought it was. All right, we're going to discuss that. Consideration G, the consideration of 2021-22 council meeting schedule. We actually are just keeping it the same, so
I'll do that one.
Jason and Randy to second. H, consideration of the resignation of Jeff Island as a police officer to be effective October the 11th, 2021, and authorize calling for an additional full-time police officer list from the Mobile County Personnel Board.
Make a motion.
Second.
That should be two, though, shouldn't it? We accept the resignation, number one, and second would be call for a list. I mean, am I wrong on that? That's two separate items. One's a resignation, the other one's calling for the list.
Jay, you can add them both together, can you, or do we need to do two separate?
You better be two separate, I think. You did set the resignation, good standing, and then do the other.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna split that.
Make that L. Split them up and just make it L.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing, so I don't think we're having to recall it. There's no, it's listed here and everybody had a chance to see it. But we're just saying it's two different items, action. I, consideration of a payout of comp time to Lieutenant Richard Dix, 371 hours, and Corporal Brian Mims at 501 hours. Okay.
We're going to do discussion on that also. I'm not against the payout, I'd just like to know some numbers
Sure, we can discuss anything when it comes on the,
before we vote on it.
I'll second it.
Mr. Butler making a motion and Jason seconding it, and Mr. Phillips asks questions for discussion. All right. Number 10, resolution, ordinances, orders, and other business. Resolution of the TAP project.
We got a engineered estimate on this project yet?
We understood it. He called last week. think he said that they had been tied up. They've had some COVID issues too, but he said the project was moving along, and that in order to get that to the next step for pricing, we needed to pass these resolutions. And then said that he should be ready to come down in a month or so, or short time, to give us, exactly where they're at and all. It just kind of allows the project to continue going. So he called last week and asked us if we could add that. I told him I didn't think there would be a problem, since we're not really doing anything other than just kind of keeping it going.
Have they designed that project yet?
They have not gave us anything as completion. They are working on it. Allen, right? It does his name?
He just gave us a rough draft of what they, presented for it.
So this 27,500, is that all from the city, or is that, we pay 80, 60/40?
No, no.
Or we
On
pay-
engineer, you'd pay all of it,
But it's 80/20, isn't it? What the grant was.
not on the engineer.
The engineering
services.
I don't
service, that's
know, not on the
100%,
engineering,
right?
but total.
We pay for the drawings up front.
Kind of tough for me to blindly agree to something. I don't know how much it's gonna cost.
I know we got in over our heads with the other sidewalks where it was just like the ADA compliant, and it just kind of got away from us.
Putting down the sidewalks in Hartley Road is a challenge, and I don't think they've addressed it yet.
Well, I didn't even think it was possible to do a sidewalk down Hartley, because I was told that the space is too small and that there's not enough right-of-way. And as far as the speed limit on that road, you've got to be off the road so many feet.
2 feet off the road, that was a new law that changed. Plus, there's all these 200-year-old oak trees down the road, and they'd have to cover some of these ditches, and like Jason said, the cost could be a lot, and I don't know what Civil Southeast put in there. I think we should have a meeting with them before they start the engineering drawings.
I know we have a lot of kids walk to school down that road, though. It'd be nice to get them out of the street.
I mean, it literally has to cross the street 6, 7 times, because the further you get down Hartley Road, there's some major ditches on both sides, and the cost to cover them and pipe them is extraordinary. So I just think we need to get up with them and walk the street with their engineers. Maybe Jason can come over and look at it. Because like I said, they may come back and say, by the time we pipe these ditches and all, the cost is not going to be enough, but the grant won't cover it.
And I think we had it in the capital before, but I don't remember seeing anything or us talking about it in the budget that we are going to approve.
You'll have to take our 20 out of capital. That's where it came from before.
And speaking of the budget, are we doing that at the next meeting? Do we need to have that approved at some point?
When it's balanced.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's well balanced,
okay. I didn't know. But I didn't know, I mean, I
Well,
feel like
on the sidewalks now, we all sat and agreed, and we put it out. So is there any disagreement now, or are you just saying you'd like to see the numbers, or what? Because I'd like to be clear on what we're saying. I mean,
I think we, in a previous meeting, y'all said the mayor could go ahead and enter an agreement with Civil Southeast, and that's what they did. 'Cause that was it when Alan came and said,
yeah.
want to make sure that, I think so.
well, I mean, how much did we say that we would agree to pay? I mean, I guess we need an idea, because you can pay a little or you pay a lot. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if the exact. I think it
I don't know that we agreed to a dollar amount. Did we?
They gave us some rough figures. I know the total cost, we discussed it that day. I don't recall it right off the top of my head.
it's that long.
Do you know how much it was?
There's too many numbers in my head.
So are we saying that,
I mean, we can go back and look, but I'm pretty sure. It may have been in May.
It was
I mean, I
several
remember
months
that,
ago.
but I just didn't know how much we were going to be on the hook for.
Sure.
I think, I recall telling them to proceed with the application, but that was it.
Okay, the application part,
Application,
yeah.
And that could be,
We told
so
you
that was
that it
approved,
was
and
granted.
that maybe what's in this contract is now the numbers. Is it is the number in that?
Well, their services in here, whatever Allison said, 27.
Agreement for engineering
Yeah.
services, yeah, it's in there.
Yeah.
27,500, I mean, that's just quick math. I don't know if there's anything else in there, but that was just under the compensation part. Jay, did you look over this?
Which one is that?
The agreement for engineering services?
I looked at one a while back. Is it the one I looked at?
They just, sent it renewed, sent a newer clean copy with everybody's name on it.
I mean, I guess we could pass the resolution, but not enter the contract until we have some numbers on it.
That's fine. I mean, I don't,
But I think the resolution says we'll pay them 27,500.
we'll have you an answer for that. Mr. Skelton, you, on the resolution, you okay with introducing that then?
I can introduce it.
Thank you.
It doesn't have it on, it just says cities.
I'll second it, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Just a second. Moving on, B, Resolution
Does
2021.
it, I'm sorry, I was asking if this bound us to pay the $27,500.
Not on the resolution.
Not on the resolution.
Okay.
Now we'll move on to B, Resolution 2021-10-02, Resolution Surplus the Chevy Impala from City Hall.
I can handle that.
No, go ahead.
Sure.
I'll second.
All right.
Motion be made by Jason, seconded by Mr. Butler on the sale of that vehicle. All right, then we're going to add two items, American Rescue Act. That's going to be set for October the 12th workshop at 5:30 PM. And then K, I had not mentioned, that's going to be Mr. Phillips, had questions on the shooting range. Those are all the items that's listed tonight on our agenda. It is approximately 6:50, so if y'all would like, we'll be recessed for 10 minutes, and then we'll reconvene the meeting at 7 o'clock.
I'll look on the OBS.
I'd like to call the Satsuma City Council to order for our regular meeting, for October the 5th, 2021. We're going to start this meeting as we start all of our meetings. We start with invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to ask that you stand and then remain standing for the pledge after the invocation, which Mr. Little is going to lead.
Lord, we thank you for this beautiful thing you've given us. Lord, we just pray for the ones that are here this evening. We just pray for guidance, Lord. Also, we just pray for wisdom, Lord. We just ask that you do your will, Father. We just pray for the ones that are sick. We just pray for our first responders, Lord. Just watch over them, Lord. Watch over us now. Forgive us what we failed. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Heather, give a roll call, please.
Councilmember Little,
Present.
Councilmember Butler. Councilmember Skelton.
Here.
Councilmember Reese.
Present.
Councilmember Phillips.
Here.
Mayor Barlow.
Here. Please let the record reflect that all the council members are here, along with the department heads and the city clerk and city attorney. Moving on to number 4, approval of the agenda. We're going to have an amended agenda. We amended the agenda tonight to add J to discussion of the American Rescue Act plan. There's going to be a workshop to be called next Tuesday night at 5:30 p.m. And then K was discussion of the police shooting range, which was, the first one was requested by Ms. Reese, the second add-on was by Mr. Phillips. So with that being said, is there a motion to amend the agenda?
So moved.
So,
Motion made by Ms. Reese and seconded by Mr. Skeleton to amend the agenda to add those 2 items I just listed. Any discussion? All of those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Okay. Well, we got to do a roll call if we've amended it, right? All right. All right, give us a roll call then, please.
Councilmember Little.
Yes.
Councilmember Butler.
Yes.
Councilmember Skelton.
yes.
Councilmember Reese.
Yes.
Councilmember Phillips.
Yes.
Mayor Barlow.
Yes. Okay, please let it show that the amending the agenda has passed. Moving on, number 5, the approval of the minutes from our regular meeting of September 21st, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Little for approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of September 21st. Is there any discussion or questions? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Those opposed. B, approval of the minutes from our workshop held on September the 16th of 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Again by Mr. Skelton and seconded by Mr. Little. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
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 C, approval of the minutes from a workshop that was held September 30th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Again, a motion made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Little. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Number 6, we don't have anything on the listed. Number 7, visitors. We have no visitors. Anybody wanting to come before the council tonight? Well, that's good. Apparently, we don't have any citizens coming up, so we're moving on pretty good tonight. Moving on to number 8, announcements, reports and announcements from the mayor and council. Starting with the mayor's reports, which I told y'all I would be pretty quick tonight. We have made a lot of progress in working on the budget. I think we've about got the budget prepared for passing. Mr. Skelton, you might want to, you're going to expand on that just a little further at your time come around. So we have made a lot of work on that, and we're very close to doing that. The audit We are going to work with the firm Wilkins Miller, and that should get that process started pretty soon. I would like to, sadly, to report we have had a few deaths in our community since our last council meeting, so I know Mr. Cunningham over here off of Bayou, his family suffered a loss, and so if you see him or any of the others around town with the family members, please keep all those people in your thoughts and prayers, because we have definitely had a lot in our community in the recent months. Also, October's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so hopefully we can get some pink around the city hall.
Got a little
Ladies,
bit.
and yeah, I see there's a couple of people have the pink on tonight, so thank y'all for that. In our pre-council tonight, I did discuss just briefly, we do have some properties that we've been telling people to clean up, and that I am proud to say that some people are working with us in the city and have made efforts to bring property in compliance and satisfy some of the complaints. I think one of those that the citizens addressed us on at the last meeting, there's been substantial progress made at that property. So I appreciate the people doing that. I also appreciate Tom working with me to work with those property owners. Our personnel board meeting that I kind of mentioned to y'all that we were scheduled to have today was canceled this morning. Apparently there were some members that were unable to make the meeting, so rather than have a meeting without having a lot of the people present, it was rescheduled, but they have not given us the date yet. Tom discussed the Gomesa grant. I would like for us to maybe make that as a workshop also item in the very near future, because I think, as Mr. Little said, it seems like we need to try to keep this project moving now. So do y'all like Tuesday nights? I mean, that's pretty much from what's good for the council meetings. So if it's all said, I think we're going to try to schedule a couple of more of those in the upcoming weeks on Tuesdays. If sounds like y'all like 5:30 a little better, so we can get out of here. Can y'all make those? If we make them earlier, we try to schedule the
I
workshop.
can't make nothing no earlier than 5:30.
Okay. Mr. Little, I know.
That's okay with me.
Unfortunately, some of us still have to work, so we have to make sure it's after work. Okay. Our homecoming week held Friday was a week ago. We had that, so I think those events went off pretty well. We did have some activities by the students for sure around town. I think they left the marks wherever they were at. Y'all may have seen that. So, but I think most of it was in fun, and it went off pretty good. So I did get a call from school saying thank you for the us making that curfew to have stop the kids from staying out all night. So hopefully that worked out well. I think most of the other items are going to be covered by a council member from a department. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to public services with Mr. Little.
Mayor, did want to mention, mention to the citizens to, please be patient with us. Both trash trucks are down at the moment. We hope by this Thursday or Friday to have one of them back. So, I know things is maybe getting a little messy, but we do have our leaf truck and the chipper truck that's out doing whatever it can to try to keep up a little bit with that. So just be patient, and hopefully we'll get one of those back up and running before the end of the week. Also, Mayor, thanks, for us getting started at least on some of these properties as far as cleaning them up and abating them. I think that's good as far as our citizens seeing that we are, you know, this is important to us, and getting started, I hope they'll see that we are trying, and, you know, everybody wants our city to look at its best, so, that's all, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to public safety, Mr. Butler.
For the fire department reports, we got MS calls 68, we got 5 calls 28, and for total calls we're 96. For the calls for the past 3 days, we haven't been reviewed for those calls, so they don't show on the report. But the total number of calls are really 110 calls. And we got 9 calls for the mutual aid. And we don't have anything for the fire department, and I don't have anything for the police department today.
Okay, that's good. Moving on to administration, Mr. Skelton.
So we got the budget very, very close to being balanced. We're just waiting on one more figure to drop in there, and then we should be good to go.
Thank you for the work on that. I think that although we're going to be discussing the American Rescues Act, but I'm sure the budget, all that's tied in together. So if possible, we can address those things so we can have it all ready for
Yeah.
presentation then on the next meeting. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Moving on, Parks and Recreation, Ms. Reese.
Yes, sir. I wanted to give a congratulations to the Spirit of Satsuma Band. They received all superior ratings at their competition this past weekend in Milton, Florida. So congratulations to them.
Good.
Also, the library will be holding an event for a local author, Miss Paula Webb, and that will be at the Satsuma Public Library on Tuesday, October 12th at 11 a.m. You can contact the library if you need more details. Also, the next municipal dinner will be October 21st in Sims at 7 p.m. The invites went out yesterday, but they were having an issue with our email, so I let Heather know, and I guess they're looking into it. But I wanted to let you know that in the past, it's been at the church that's over off of Schillinger, but this year it's going to be at Pathway on Moffett, so don't go as far as you normally go, just in case you didn't look at the invite too closely.
Does anybody know who's going for reservations?
Put me down for 2.
Mayor?
Two.
Is that what you gonna go to the dinner?
I'm not sure. I'll call you either tomorrow or Friday.
Skeleton?
I'll let you know.
And the last announcement I have is the Halloween Pet Parade on October 23rd. The Azoa Trailmaids have committed to coming again, so they will be helping award some of the prizes to the dogs. And we'll also have new this year, puppuccinos. So we're excited about that. There'll also be a photo booth like last year. And can't wait to see everybody out there. The registration will be the day of at 4. It's $10 per pet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Reese. And moving on to Public Works, Mr. Phillips.
Mayor, the Public Works Department's been real busy the last 2 weeks. Just give you a general rundown. They've repaired sinkholes at Landing Drive and Plateau West. We repaired potholes on Baldwin, Hartley, Bayou West, 6th Street, 7th Street, and Powers. We've also had the sidearm cutter out working on Baldwin, Woodland, Orchard Street, and South Service Road. Road graders also graded all the dirt roads. And, you know, when it's not raining, we're continuing to mow and bush hog and do what we can do when it's dry enough. And, of course, we'd eat all the ditches and the roads, too. And that's a general rundown of what they've done the last 2 weeks. That's all I've got, Mayor.
We have definitely had some rain in the last few months. It is. So, I do appreciate the hard work from Public Works employees. Well, we're moving on pretty fast through the
Don't jinx it.
agenda tonight. So,
I could talk some more if you want me
oh,
to.
no. No, I think that it's rather nice to be moving on. Moving to number 9, items for discussion and/or consideration. A is payment of the bills.
I'll make a motion, we pay the bills in the amount of $81,761.13.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Skelton and seconded by Mr. Phillips to pay the bills in the said amount. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Showed motion passed, and bills to be paid. B, consideration of declaring a 2005 Chevrolet Impala surplus and authorizing disposal on govdeals.com and gives list the VIN.
So,
Motion made by Mr. Butler and seconded by Mr. Skelton to surplus the vehicle, the 2005 Chevy Impala. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Moving on to C, consideration of promotion of Travis Jones to Public Safety Worker 2 to be effective October the 23rd, 2021.
I'll put that in form of motion, Mayor.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Phillips and seconded by Mr. Little for the promotion of Travis Jones to Public Safety Worker 2. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Congratulate Mr. Jones on his promotion. Moving on to D, consideration of promotion of Robert Moore to corporal to be effective October the 23rd, 2021.
I'll make a motion to agree.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Butler, seconded by Mr. Phillips for the promotion of Officer Moore to become Corporal Moore effective on October the 23rd. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Congratulations. We discussed closing the splash pads. Of course, it's still been hot, and I think with the school being out, Ms. Reese, you were going to recommend the date of closure to be the Tuesday, October the 12th. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I'll advertise that on Facebook so the kids know to get one more splash in before we
Okay.
close it up for the winter.
I don't think that really requires anything for us to do, so y'all would just post it and let them know. Anybody calling City Hall, it'll be done. Crystal, y'all make sure it's closed for the 12th. Moving on, number F, consideration of 2021-22 holiday schedule to include a new federal holiday of Juneteenth.
so moved.
Mayor,
Yeah.
has anybody figured the cost, what we spend for the holiday?
Okay, just for, we have a motion made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Butler, and now we're opening it up for discussion. The cost of a holiday was a question from Mr. Phillips. But I'm not sure exactly what the cost of the holiday.
Well, I mean,
Each
the off
holiday
time
week.
and employees, then we go have employees working time and a half on the holiday too. So
That's correct.
by adding another holiday, how much cost are we adding to this budget we're trying to get money down to?
I'm sure we can figure up a,
Well,
An
I'm
approximate
all in
amount.
favor of the holiday if the employees want it, but I really feel like we should trade it and drop some other holiday, not increase it. I mean, we're having trouble meeting the budget now.
You also have problem with low employee morale too. So
Huh?
we gotta remember that.
Do what?
You have some problems with low employee morale, so let's not get too in-depth on that part of it. I understand the cost, but also understand that we need to, do what we can right now to retain what we got.
Like I say, I'm not against the holiday at all.
Right, well, I mean, most of the employees will be off, and our police fire, which would work, would be getting holiday pay for that position, so.
I'm sure we'll
yeah.
run garbage that day, also.
It's a good chance of it, yes, sir. So we usually have a couple of people in garbage on holidays, trying to keep
It's
from
just a
getting behind.
question, Mayor.
Yeah, I understand. I'm trying to help you figure out how many people we'd have, so. All right, we had a motion and a second, and it is an agenda item. Is there any further discussion that we need to have regarding the holiday schedule? If there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Approval. Those opposed. Let it show with holiday schedule as published was approved. Moving on for the consideration of a 2021-22 council meeting schedule, which will be maintained the same. Our pre-council will be at 6 on Tuesdays, 1st and 3rd, with a council meeting to follow at 7 p.m. on those dates. Was there any, I don't think there was any special days that fell on that caused anything, so that's basically been our standard council meeting days for several years.
I'll make that in the form of a motion.
I second it.
Motion made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Little to approve the council meeting schedule for the next upcoming fiscal year. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next one I think we're going to split into two. It's on the agenda. We just, I should have called it before on the agenda for tonight, but number one we're going to say is the first part of this, consideration of resignation of Jeff Island as a police officer effective October the 11th, 2021.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Butler and seconded by Mr. Skelton to approve the resignation of Officer Jeff Island. All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed.
Is that in good standing?
Yeah, good standing.
Okay.
So he's moving on to an assistant chief job.
Okay. And we're going to now, I think, is your request is to call for a list for a full-time police officer from the Mobile County Personnel Board.
Yes, sir. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion made again by Mr. Butler and seconded by Mr. Skelton to call for a list for a police officer for the Mobile County Personnel Board. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Passed. The next, consideration of a payout of comp time to Lieutenant Richard Dixon for 371 hours and for Corporal Brian Mims for 500.5 hours.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
How are we doing that, paying it from this past year's budget? Are you going to be able just to do it, accrue it with the accountant? So we've checked and made sure there won't be no problem doing that.
We got the figures for Councilman Phillips and Frank. Chief wants to go over those.
Corporal Mims will be $10,333.75. That includes the city's portion of his retirement and FICA. Lieutenant Dix is $9,788.60 for a total for both employees, $20,122.35.
This will come out of this year's budget, is that what you just said?
2021.
At last year.
Last year.
Right,
Yes, sir. We had a
so we don't have to find room for it in the one we're fixing to approve.
That's correct.
Yes, sir. We had about 100,000 of a remaining balance in the police budget for past fiscal year. That's why I approached the mayor about going ahead and clearing some of that comp time out.
Did we make a motion to pay for the amount or what?
I second it.
Motion made by Mr. Butler, seconded by Mr. Skelton to pay the comp time out. And there was no issues with the personnel board by doing it this way, Heather?
No, sir. She said that they don't regulate comp time, and that as long as council approved, we just let them know.
Okay, just wanted to make sure we were still within the rules. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay. All right, and we're going to move down to J. In our pre-council meeting tonight, we went into discussion on the spending of the American Rescues Act money. And if y'all will allow me just to get our conversation down to real briefly, we have agreed to have a workshop meeting to be held next Tuesday night, to start at 5:30. And then we will discuss the American Rescues Act, and I think that's going to include our budget, possible payments to our employees, and other things related to the budget and the American Rescue Act. So if that's agreeable to the council, if somebody wants to make a motion, we'll set a workshop for next Tuesday night.
I make that motion.
Second.
Motion to schedule a workshop for next Tuesday night for those items we've just mentioned for next Tuesday night at 5:30 p.m. Motion made by Allison, seconded by Mr. Skelton. All those in favor signify by aye.
I did make copies during the break, and so this is the sample ordinance, not a sample ordinance, this is the ordinance that, or resolution, excuse me, that Sarah Lynn had, and I double spaced it, and so you can make notes in between the lines, and we can tailor it to fit our needs. I think it reads pretty well, and get to reading on that other packet. That's it.
Okay, we're moving on to number K, the shooting range. Mr. Phillips wanted to discuss that tonight.
Yeah, Mayor, I just wanted to bring this up because I didn't know the answers. I got a call. Matter of fact, I got 2 calls this week. Asked them when one of our citizens could go to the shooting range and use their range. And like I told them, I didn't think they could. Then I was informed that there were groups using the range. And I wasn't aware of all this. Chief Harold, I tried to call you and asked you about it, but nobody answered the phone, so I figured I'd bring it up tonight. You know, it's got some group on there using the range and charging $125 per person to use it. I'm not aware of it. I don't know if any of the other council members are. I mean, for one, do we let private groups use the range? Can our citizens use it? You know, that's the first question I got. Yes, anybody can use the range. All right, and how are we doing that? Okay, not the council. Even though we got liabilities, you know, we got citizens going. I also seen they charging money. Where's the money going? Are we renting this facility? I mean, every other facility we got in this city, I use right there at the Baldwin Square, it cost me $50. So is that facility being rented to these groups, and or where's the money going?
To my knowledge, we've never collected any money for the use of the range. We have received services in kind. Tracy Knopfler had a group that used it, and he provided some electrical work with no charge for the use of the range. Brinks Security uses the range, and they provide practice ammunition for our officers.
Okay, I was also informed Mobile Infirmaries use that range. Is that true? I'm just telling you things people's calling telling me in the past.
One of our officers is the chief investigator for Mobile Infirmary Security.
Yeah. Well, you know, I personally think if our citizens can't use it, we shouldn't be renting it out. And if we are letting other groups use it, we should be collecting rent on it from the use it and make sure we got the proper liability in place to do it. You know, and I don't know how this council feels about that, but I mean, I think we're assuming a liability. We're letting people go onto that range with weapons. And it's a training course, so some of them don't even know how to use a gun when they get there. So what's everybody else's opinion?
I don't like it that way. I don't. This for the policemen only, that's what I think.
That's how I feel.
I don't know, I've never seen a written policy regarding the use of the range down there. So I don't know, do we have a written policy that states who can use it, or?
Not for private groups, but so we've just been taking it on a case-by-case basis.
I know that I took my first gun course in Satsuma locally through, I think, Southeastern Firearms Training after someone broke into my house. And so I thought it was a great service. I didn't know don't know now what the rules are for that. But it was nice to have it local. And I got to network with some ladies, and it was ladies only. And so I was one that had never shot a gun before, so.
You know, I just feel like if it's gonna be used like that, it needs to be a council approval to start with, because we're assuming the liabilities. Next, it needs to be rented just like any other facility if there's money being charged to people to come there and do it. You know, we're giving the facility away.
There've been several times that the chief would, got a safety for guns, remember? You know, when you had, shooting for some of the people before, you know what you mean? And, that's all right with that, but just somebody walking in and, I don't know about this.
We don't do that.
Right. I know,
I didn't know that it was really that many people that did, to be honest with you. I know the group with Mr. Nolfi
Well, that's
come to us last year and maybe the year before, you know, and asked, you know, and got approval from.
right, but nobody come this
Council.
time, and like I say, I've been told of 2 or 3 other groups that's actually went out and used the course.
Has that already happened? That's already happened this year?
No, it's coming up. This course I'm talking about is coming up in 2 weeks, I believe.
Mr. Office is coming up, but I think when he came before council, he was just asking permission to use it at any time with approval of the police department. He was granted.
It hadn't been done in this administration.
No, sir,
No.
not this administration, in past administrations, it would just said, it was on a continual basis as long as it was approved through the police department.
But I mean, if there's.
Well, let me square that up. This administration, on anything that had come up here,
Right, it has not.
I mean, not just that, because we've gotten into that several times about we was gonna do this or that, and you know, so, those things are out. If it hadn't come up, we've discussed it on any matter. It needs
And
to come
maybe if
before.
there's that much of a need, you know, we need to address it as far as it being a, you know, something.
It may be something
I
needed
have
in
no
the
problem with
community.
that, but we need to have the
Not a problem.
proper documentation in place, and be sure the liabilities are there, not just because one guy decides who can and who can't. I don't like that.
Well, I know that one particular group, I think they actually had to sign a, you know, a liability and all of that. I think certain groups
Well, ask
there's
Jay what
got
that
it.
sign means if you go to court. It's having a sign up saying you're your own responsibility. It don't mean nothing.
He's talking about signing a document.
It's not a waiver.
Yeah.
It's not just this.
Waivers don't hold up too well in court. They really don't.
And if that's the case, I mean, we might need to stop it, you know?
And we definitely need to be aware of what's going on. But I think it's wrong that nobody sitting in this whole building here except for the chief can go use that fire range, but we'll let a group use it. You know, you can't go down there and use it. I can't. Nobody in here can, but as long as one guy in the police department says it's okay, you can go do it. I don't agree with that. And like I say, I've had 2 citizens that really didn't agree with it. Because it's hunting season, they're all hunting a place to sight weapons. You know, they tell them, no, you can't use that one.
Well, there probably does need to be some type of policy. It needs to be that we adhere to, and we identify who uses the range and all or not.
You know, plus you're going across water board property to do this too, so now we're talking about another liability.
All right, how would y'all like for me to proceed and the directions to the chief on that? For us to develop a policy and come back that
Well, that's
we all.
pretty much what I've said, but this council needs to make a decision as a group, not just what I think. You know?
Yeah, but we're talking about getting a policy and to where we can sign a waiver or to let the council know, but if the waiver's not any good, what's the use?
They have some use, but they're not, there are a lot of exceptions.
I mean, when we're talking about weapons, I mean,
And I really think it needs to come before the council before you use that, and I think it needs to be rented. If people's charging money to have something down there, if they're making money, they need to rent the course.
Well, is there any other comments from the council? I mean, I think there's been a couple of us made what our opinions are. Mr. Skelton, you got a?
I don't have anything right now. I'm still just taking it all in.
Ms. Reese?
I just told you my interaction with the range, and I did not then nor now know what, rules, if there were any, so. I know we were escorted, by the police officers, so, no, we were not there alone, so.
Did you have to sign a waiver before you went down to?
Yes. That was all part of the class. We actually had the course first. We had classroom instruction before we went to the range.
There should be a policy. Mr. Phillips, I would agree with you on that, and will instruct the chief tomorrow to try to get with other departments that have ranges and see what type action or what probably needs to have rules posted at the range and everything else to make it a more formal policy. So I'm sure it's going to take us a little time to get that, but I don't disagree that there needs to be some, rules and regulations that we follow, and policy to.
And I know this next class is already set, so I don't want to just say we can't have that, but we don't need to be scheduling anything after that until we have a policy in place.
Well, we probably do need to do that. There's a couple of things that I've noticed that the council has kind of gotten away from. I think that we've had a couple of these parades or road closures, and used to that, always those type things used to come before the council so it could be publicly noted. So perhaps we need to watch the calendar more and make sure that those things are brought before the council. If you know of a parade that's happening, a road closure we're going to have, like when we closed Old 43 for the car show, some of those things, I don't know how it just kind of got where it wasn't coming up, but those things probably do need to be discussed along with other matters like that. So, all right, well, Chief, you think we can get something from other agencies and see what we can do to make this more formal? And we'll get back with you. Why don't we give us to the first meeting in November to answer that?
Sure.
Okay. 1 month. Yes. Okay, we have now covered all the items that we had listed on the agenda, so between our pre-council meeting and the council meeting, I think we've addressed everything that I know it was going to be on the agenda.
Yeah, number 10. It's 2
Oh,
resolutions.
that's right. Yeah, I did the resolutions. We're just going to introduce Resolution 2021-10-01, resolution for the TAP project.
And put that in form of a motion.
Motion made by Jason and seconded by Mr. Butler. And then we'll get back with you on this once we get more information as we discussed in pre-council. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Final thing, we have tonight resolution to surplus the Chevrolet Impala for the city, from the city hall. The one's been parked out back here. I'll be glad to see gone. So, Jason, I think you said you was making a motion to,
I'll put that in a motion also.
Mr. Butler, you'd said, motion made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Butler, resolution surplus in the Chevy Impala. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Yeah, we will sell that. Now, everything is taken care of. Is there any other business that needs to come before the council tonight?
Are we getting any closer to getting a new assistant city clerk?
Yes, we are. And hopefully we can do that very soon. That's everything. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.